Don't get me wrong. There are other things that we can talk about with the Vancouver Canucks. There are a lot of things, in fact, that are not looking all too great. Just from the optics and what we heard from the media in terms of what's going on behind the scenes and contract discussions, it's not looking good for Vancouver in a number of ways. But this topic right here is so big, bold, boisterous, loud, emphatic, it's crazy that this topic deserves its own video. And I don't even know what to title it. I don't know what the angle is in this video. We just have to respond to the comments that Jim Rutherford made earlier this morning in the management's end-of-season exit meeting availability. Because Jim Rutherford, I mean, the Vancouver Canucks could very well be getting some sort of a tampering fine or something like that here. It's very well possible. Because Jim Rutherford answered a question, and by the way, the video will be linked in the description. It's a 1-minute, 30-second clip posted by Canucks Army. This was probably the juiciest piece of info that we had seen in the entire end-of-season media availability exit interview from Patrick Allvin and Jim Rutherford. But this right here, it's going to be linked in the description. The question from the reporter asks, I think the greatest fear for Canucks fans here is 2 years from now, Quinn Hughes can become an unrestricted free agent. How cognizant are you with the moves that you're going to be making this summer and within these next 2 years? Do you consult with Quinn? Do you let him know what the game plan is? And when do you start thinking about an extension for Quinn Hughes? Because I think that'd be one loss with this franchise that I don't know if you'd ever bounce back if he was to leave here. This is where Rutherford responds. And this is the juiciest quote that we might have seen out of any freaking hockey GM, president, manager, whatever, this season. I totally agree. 100%. The one thing that we will be sure of is that we will have enough cap space to offer him the kind of contract that he deserves. That's one thing we can prepare for. And this is the kicker, it may not boil down to money with him. You know, he said before he wants to play with his brothers. And that would partly be out of our control. In our control, though, if we brought his brothers here. So, there's many moving parts here. I agree 100%. This franchise cannot afford to lose a guy like Quinn Hughes, and we will do everything we can to keep him here. But at the end of the day, it'll be his decision. There's a long pause after Rutherford makes this comment, and some folks in the media and even Allvin start laughing a little bit. Well, we gotta be careful with tampering here, Rutherford said, so we'll just leave it at that. I probably crossed the line anyways. Oh my gosh, man. It's not even that, like, the idea of Jack and Luke Hughes coming to Vancouver is a bad idea. Nobody thinks that's a bad idea. They're great players. Jack Hughes is a better player than Elias Pettersson is right now. Luke Hughes is a 40-point defenseman who could be on to bigger and better things. He's big, he moves well, he's lanky, he scores. The Hughes bros coming to Vancouver is not a bad idea. But you can't say that, dude. You can't say that. No, that's not a good thing to say. Just because everybody is thinking it does not mean you can legitimately talk about acquiring 2 guys from the New Jersey Devils, man. That's tampering. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. It's so direct, too, right? Like, just acknowledging, yeah, there's 2 guys in New Jersey that Quinn wants to play with. We could bring him here. Or even throwing out the possibility, hypothetically analyzing and saying, hey, if we brought him here, that is not cool, not just because of the tampering thing, but because of the narrative that this entire comment puts into place. It says to the media directly, hey, Quinn wants to play with the New Jersey guys, so it opens the door to the wide open conversation that exists that allows us to talk about Quinn Hughes now leaving this team. Hey, Quinn, you want to go to New Jersey? You want to play with your brothers? Now, this is the story here. It's not, oh, Quinn is dedicated to play with the Canucks, and he could be in line to get a contract extension, but we'll get there when we get there. It's not. Quinn wants to play with Jack and Luke. Now that the management team has gone out there and openly stated it, this gives the media and the fans the right to respond to that thought process directly. We all kind of knew that that was the case, right? Like, we all internally knew that the Hughes bros are all close and they all love each other so much, they're a good, happy family, and that Quinn has a non-zero chance of leaving Vancouver in free agency to go to New Jersey. That was always a real idea that Canucks fans were thinking about. But now it's like, yeah, the management talked about it. Yeah, we know he wants to play with his brothers. He said he wants to play with his brothers. Now we have the right to go out there and dive into it even more. And that in itself is not even related to Canucks management implying that they could go out there and try to bring Jack and Luke over to Vancouver, which, by the way, that's not going to happen. There isn't really anything that the Devils would want from Vancouver aside Quinn Hughes that would make a Jack or a Luke trade make sense. So to hear this, I mean, this narrative is now going to run rampant in the organization and the fans and the media and everything, isn't it? Here's a tweet from Taj, which I think summarizes it pretty well. How does Quinn feel about Rutherford's comments today? He can't be thrilled. It's another distraction. The next few interviews he does, he's going to be asked about leaving to play with his brothers. This is now the main storyline next season, and it was started by the management team. Never mind the tampering, never mind the changing values of the players, and never mind the standard that this sets for the Canucks organization. To essentially say to the players that, yeah, the captain on the team, the best player on the team, he wants to play with his brothers. So it's going to be his decision whether or not he sticks around here or decides to yeet over to New Jersey. And now we're talking about Vancouver acquiring Jack and Luke too. Like, what does that say about the trade value? You think the New Jersey Devils are going to listen to that and be like, oh yeah, great. They're right. Quinn does want to play with his brothers, so we can send them over to Vancouver. Hell no, the Devils are going to be pissed off at this. They're going to look at that and just start calling the NHL requesting a tampering fine immediately. And what do you think that says about Vancouver's odds of holding on to Quinn Hughes? If Quinn is so intent on playing with his brothers that he would not want to re-sign in Vancouver, he wants to go to New Jersey and only New Jersey, the Vancouver Canucks absolutely cannot afford to let Quinn Hughes walk in free agency in 2027. But you know what's crazy? We said the same thing about Brock Besser, we said the same thing about P.S. Suter, and guess what? It's probably going to happen. If 2026 summer rolls around and Vancouver offers Quinn Hughes the moon and the stars and he says no, he says, sorry, I'll hold out on it, the Canucks offer him $13 million AAV by 8 years and he says no, then Vancouver has to trade Quinn Hughes. But that's another conversation for another day. Because whatever you could say about a Quinn Hughes trade in 2026, any team that acquires that guy is probably going to have to sell their entire gosh darn prospect pool to Vancouver in order to get him. Because everybody knows the value of Quinn Hughes. The question is a team really going to be able to do that in good faith after negotiating? Because you can debate, hey, if Quinn really wants to play with his brothers in 2027, why would I trade for Quinn Hughes? If he's not going to sign with me, why would I go out there and shell out all these assets to get him? Vancouver might be getting lowballed in a Quinn Hughes trade because we now know that his main intention is to play with his brothers. Not that we didn't know before, again, but now it's been confirmed by the freaking team president. Oh, tampering be damned. This is crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. And I don't even know what to, title this video. The crazy Quinn Hughes story. Jim Rutherford drops a bomb. Jim Rutherford talks about Quinn Hughes leaving Vancouver. Jim Rutherford talks about Jack Hughes and Luke Hughes coming to the Canucks. I'm more, disturbed by the Quinn Hughes wanting to play with his brother comments, more so than I am by the Jim Rutherford acknowledging that the Canucks could bring Jack and Luke over to Vancouver comments. I don't know what else there is to say here. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about these ridiculous comments in regards to Quinn Hughes wanting to play with his brothers, because Jim Rutherford has just introduced an entirely new story for the 2025-2026 season that is not going to die. It won't. Vancouver, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.